Jake Paul panics as Gervonta Davis hits him with a $100 million lawsuit.
And like, what it's gonna do for so many fighters and so many people, and I'm scared. I'm just like, I'm a mess.
Jake Paul is in full panic mode as Gervonta Davis hits him with a shocking $100 million lawsuit. The situation has exploded into a legal firestorm with Jake caught right in the middle as Tank unleashes heavy legal blows. What started as a feud has now escalated into chaos that could seriously damage Jake's career.
This is probably the worst mistake of his career.
The moment the lawsuit went public, Jake Paul's entire world seemed to split open. Gervonta Davis immediately launched a $100 million legal strike, accusing Jake of defamation contract violations and sabotaging what was meant to be the year's biggest exhibition fight. According to Tank's team, that massive number is inflated at all. They claim Jake's public statements set off a financial meltdown, sponsors pulled out, business deals stalled, and millions in promotional revenue evaporated overnight. One reckless accusation from Jake, they argue, cost Gervonta a fortune. And now, Davis is demanding Jake pay back every single dollar he believes was lost.
We'll be shutting you the fuck up and making you eat your own work.
Behind the scenes, insiders insist Jake Paul is spiraling as his entire narrative collapses in real time. For months, he sold the story that he backed out because of Tank's legal troubles, try to look like the morally superior one. Now, Gervonta's lawsuit flips everything. Davis claims Jake didn't take a stand. He ducked real danger when the stakes got highest, abandoning the spotlight. That single explosive accusation sits at the heart of this $100 million legal nightmare, now hanging over him, tightening pressure daily on his brand.
And it goes back to like people just like attacking Jake Paul and like wanting to see me fail for literally like fucking nothing.
None of this happened out of nowhere. This lawsuit is the final spark thrown onto months of rising tension. The leaked footage drama, the ongoing criticisms, the sketchy exhibition terms, and the non-stop online chaos all stacked up until everything finally blew. Jake's team tried hard to steer the narrative, but the backlash never cooled. And the more Jake attempted to justify his actions, the more fans felt something in the story just didn't add up.
Jake fought a guy who was his age and was also considered a boxer, and he lost.
Understand why this lawsuit feels so massive. You have to remember what this fight was meant to be. Jake Paul versus Gervonta Tank Davis wasn't sold as a normal matchup. It was planned as a historic Netflix mega event set for November 14th, 2025. A crossover spectacle projected to draw up to 1 billion views worldwide. Everyone knew the stakes, the money involved, and the risk. Tank isn't just another fighter. He's a pound-for-pound monster with terrifying knockout power that even seasoned champions respect. The size gap didn't matter. Analysts still picked Davis to win. That's how insane, dangerous, and unprecedented this matchup.
Tank's team is now fighting back, and they're stating that Netflix did not, in fact, cancel the bout.
Netflix entered this fight with one goal: create the most outrageous cinematic combat spectacle ever streamed. But that level of ambition came with strings attached. Insiders revealed Netflix pushed for unusual exhibition clauses that seasoned boxing insiders had never seen before. It wasn't enough for the matchup to be competitive. Netflix wanted heightened drama, scripted tension, and viral-ready moments baked directly into the event. They wanted a fight that felt like a movie, not just...
We're all fucking They've all done weird shit.
They're fucking crazy.
And that's where the sport began to split in two. Hardcore boxing fans felt the entire project cross a line. Promoters, trainers, and analysts started voicing concerns immediately. From the start, critics argued this matchup violated everything traditional boxing represents. They warned it looked too scripted, too manufactured, more like a stage performance than an authentic fight. When rumors of leak rehearsals surfaced, things spiraled even further. Add in the pressure, the spectacle, the streaming demands, constant public scrutiny, the leaked footage accusations, and Joe Rogan openly clowning Jake Paul, and the meltdown was almost inevitable. It became clear how quickly this entire situation could and did spin completely out of control.
You're suing me for something I didn't do.
That's where everything finally blew up. Tank brought real knockout danger. Jake brought massive star power, and Netflix pushed the biggest combat spectacle ever. But instead of ending in a blockbuster fight, the whole machine collapsed into a 9-figure legal war. A lawsuit powerful enough to wreck careers, rewrite public narratives, and expose everything that had been brewing behind the scenes from the very beginning.
That's a scary one for fighters, too, because the thrill of things, like there's something about fighters who are adrenaline junkies that like to be pumped up. And yeah.
Right now, court filings claim Jake Paul didn't just cancel fight, he derailed a massive event months in the making. Tank's team argues the collapse triggered huge losses in marketing, ticket revenue, merchandise deals, and international rights. They say Jake's public accusations caused irreversible damage, and they're holding him accountable for every dollar lost in the fallout that shook their entire promotion structure.
It's just like so annoying. It's like, why am I giving, like, not only did I spend like my time, my effort, my energy, my mom.
You're constantly dealing with hate.
Yeah.
From a certain, especially from a certain sector of the online community.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Jake isn't just battling a $100 million lawsuit. He's battling the narrative that he chickened out to avoid getting knocked out. With analysts like Joe Rogan repeatedly claiming Tank would have dominated him, the public perception keeps piling on, making Jake look even worse.
Like, on God, it's just the most bullshit thing. And I literally had to pay them a lot of fucking money for no reason.
This moment is intense because it's bigger than a contract fight or a standard athlete feud. It's the clash of entertainment boxing, real boxing, and a billion-dollar streaming empire, all tangled with the pride of two men from entirely different worlds. The result? A legal explosion of historic proportions, threatening careers, reputations, and the very future of what this crossover...
That's a scary one for fighters, too, because the thrill...
Joe Rogan had been warning everyone long before this all exploded. And he wasn't subtle. He practically sounded the alarm through a megaphone. Every time Jake Paul came up, Rogan's reaction was like watching a toddler run toward oncoming traffic. He kept emphasizing that Tank Davis wasn't just a powerful puncher, he was a walking knockout, capable of ending fights with seemingly effortless strikes. According to Rogan, Jake simply wasn't ready. The matchup, in his view, looked more like a stage stunt than a legitimate fight. Anyone trying to argue otherwise, he insisted, was ignoring the reality of the danger and fooling themselves.
But, you know, it seemed a little sus.
Then Rogan turned to the topic Jake probably wished he'd never brought up, the leaked rehearsal footage. The clip had the internet buzzing for days. While Rogan didn't confirm its authenticity, he made it clear how suspicious it appeared. Certain sequences looked far too polished, almost like they were choreographed behind closed doors. And when Joe Rogan, one of the most respected voices in combat sports, raises an eyebrow at your footage, the rest of the boxing community isn't far behind. Suddenly, the scrutiny intensified, putting Jake and the entire matchup under an unforgiving spotlight.
He has made a significant impact on the sport of boxing. He has certainly brought new eyes to the sport. He's done so much in uplifting women's boxing.
Before Jake could recover, criticism came from every direction. Dana White shared his blunt opinions. Daniel Cormier added his take, and Tank's coach, Calvin Ford, weighed in as well. None of it was supportive. Every aspect from the fight's legitimacy to the contract, the rules, and the format was scrutinized, leaving Jake under relentless public pressure from all sides.
And I knew that it was gonna be like a big L. And it, like, I'm just sitting on the phone call for literally like something I did not do. Like,
Rogan's harshest point was clear. Jake was completely out of his depth. He spoke with the authority of someone who's watched countless fighters get destroyed in real time. Even before the lawsuit, the cancellation, or the media frenzy, Rogan foresaw disaster. And as events unfolded, it became obvious he was right. His warnings didn't just resonate, they sank deep into Jake's psyche, fueling the panic and chaos already building behind the scenes as the situation spiraled further out of control.
Why he decided to step back into the ring. And I think if you were to pause there and ask most people, what do you think he's going to answer? What do you think a fighter would answer to this? We would probably expect things like, I want to prove that I still got it. I want to prove that I can put this YouTuber down.
Then came the real tipping point the moment chaos became a full-blown boxing meltdown. The leaked footage scandal exploded, catching everyone off guard. Overnight, the internet believed Jake and Tank had been rehearsing their fight like a Broadway show. Clips emerged showing strangely scripted exchanges, where both fighters seemed to follow patterns instead of genuinely sparring. Fans dissected every frame, debating endlessly whether the punches were authentic or staged. The scandal spread like wildfire, amplifying doubts and throwing the entire event's legitimacy into question.
I never let myself go there. You know, I'm a fierce competitor.
Then Netflix got dragged into the drama, or at least the accusations did. Suddenly, critics claimed Netflix demanded creative control, making it seem like the fight was supposed to have plot twists, dialogue, and cliffhangers. This wasn't sport anymore, it was boxing theater. That's when the outrage hit full force. Tank's team exploded, labeling the footage misleading, fake edited, and manipulated anything to separate him from the chaos. They insisted Tank never rehearsed a single move, but the internet wasn't buying it. Instead of calming down, the story snowballed, spreading like wildfire and turning the entire matchup into one of the most talked about controversies in recent combat sports.
I mean, if he wants to do boxing, why not fight guys that actually box for a living?
Soon, the boxing world was completely divided. Half argued this was WWE with better lighting. The other half suspected Jake's team leaked the footage to spin the story. Meanwhile, Jake Paul seemed stuck in quicksand. Every move only pulled him deeper. Fans everywhere debated whether the matchup was a real fight, a Netflix blockbuster, or some hybrid circus neither sport nor entertainment wanted to own. The event's credibility didn't just take a hit, it was obliterated, leaving Jake's reputation and the entire spectacle hanging in the balance as the controversy raged across social media and boxing circles alike.
Some stuff you could do for the entertainment, but then, hey man,
there's a line.
we talked about repercussions, bro.
Yeah,
you want to talk about somebody's wife or kids or dead.
And that leads to the moment it all fell apart. Jake Paul canceled the fight just 11 days before fight night, a window that screams panic rather than a routine decision. He cited Tank's legal issues, referencing Davis's past and implying he didn't want any connection. But Jake didn't stop there. He went further, publicly hinting that even Netflix didn't want to work with Tank because of those allegations, turning what should have been a sporting showdown into a storm of controversy and speculation.
Jake fought a guy who was his age and who was also considered a boxer, and he lost.
Tank's team didn't just get angry, they went full nuclear. They immediately fired back, saying Jake lied. Netflix never canceled the fight, Jake did. That single contradiction became the backbone of the $100 million lawsuit. According to Tank's camp, Jake didn't leave on principle, he bolted because he didn't want to risk getting knocked into another dimension in front of a live streaming audience, turning his exit into a legal and public nightmare.
And it goes back to like people just like attacking Jake Paul and like wanting to see me fail for literally like fucking nothing.
Then the behind-the-scenes leaks surfaced. Insiders revealed Jake was under immense pressure juggling conflicting advisors, relentless criticism, and the genuine fear of facing Tank Davis in the ring. And according to fighters and analysts, that fear made sense. Tank isn't just powerful, he's a walking weapon. He doesn't need precision, one clean shot is enough to end a fight, making the looming matchup as intimidating as it was hyped.
Now fighting back, and they're stating that Netflix did not, in fact, cancel the bout.
Tank Davis has never claimed to be perfect. His legal troubles have been public for years, the arrests, the accusations, the headlines that clung to him. Fans were already aware of his controversies, some serious, some messy, all shaping public perception. Throughout his career, Tank handled it like he handled fights, moving forward, aggressive, and unapologetic. But when the Jake Paul drama began to unfold, those past incidents were suddenly pulled back into the spotlight not by the media, but by Jake himself adding fuel to a fire that was already spiraling out of control and complicating the narrative around both fighters.
I never let myself go there. You know, I'm a fierce competitor.
Jake took Tank's past and turned it into a weapon, brandishing it like a moral sword in a self-made courtroom drama. He claimed he couldn't promote someone with a troubled history, insisting his company had principles and framing his exit as an ethical decision. The timing couldn't have been more convenient, right as leaked footage Public accusations, weight controversies, and Rogan's critiques piled up. Suddenly, Jake would portray himself as a defender of women, the brave knight walking away from danger. Or at least, that was a story he desperately tried to sell to a skeptical and watchful public.
Tank's team is now fighting back, and they're stating that Netflix did not, in fact, cancel the bout.
Tank's team didn't just reject Jake's moral high ground narrative, they went nuclear. They argued Jake wasn't standing on principle, wasn't defending anyone, and was weaponizing Tank's past purely as a way to escape. And according to the $100 million lawsuit, that's exactly what happened. Court filings allege Jake reached into Tank's legal history, grabbed the darkest incidents, and used them as a PR shield, twisting them into a convenient moral excuse to back out a fight he didn't want. That's when the situation snapped from drama into a full-blown legal war. Tank's camp isn't holding back. They're accusing Jake of fear, fraud, and outright fabrication. The filings claim Jake knew Netflix never canceled the fight, that the event itself wasn't pulled. Yet he went public acting like he was the ethical savior stopping a dangerous fighter. According to Tank's lawyers, the truth is simpler Jake walked away because he didn't want to risk being knocked out on one of the biggest stages in combat sports history. Considering Tank's devastating power and track record,
they called Gervonta Davis the Tank for a reason. He only needs one shot to end the entire night.
Davis, fixing up, down goes Gervonta.
Fear aside, the fallout is enormous. The lawsuit claims Jake's false narrative obliterated millions in promotional value marketing, sponsorships, venue agreements, Netflix partnerships, and production costs all went up in smoke. Tank's team is demanding serious compensation, not pocket change. They're pursuing damages for defamation, breach of contract, and financial sabotage, essentially holding Jake responsible for every way he allegedly derailed the business. Their message is clear. If Jake fabricated a moral story to cover his panic, he must pay for the destruction it caused. And that destruction is...
Which is a massive pressure. Yep. A massive pressure. Not to mention a number of other things that, some the internet knows about and some that they don't. But I, as someone that's 35, looking at you...
Once the lawsuit became public, the fallout hit Jake Paul hard. He started spiraling as promoters, managers, and fighters alike called him out. They argued he violated one of boxing's unspoken rules: never destroy the business. One promoter warned that Jake had shattered trust for any future spectacle fights. And in a sport where many matchups already lean toward entertainment, that criticism carries extra weight, showing just how deeply his actions rattled the boxing and crossover.
Ring Magazine. Jake Paul admits he's scared and losing sleep over a Gervonta Davis fight.
Then Netflix quietly began to pull back, not with announcements, but with subtle distancing, looking at other fighters, events, and personalities who wouldn't invite legal chaos. When a billion-dollar platform drifts away in silence, that quiet rejection lands harder than any of Tank's knockout punches, leaving...
Jake Paul reacts to Tank's new sparring, "I might lose," it says on the YouTube thumbnail. Jake Paul says he's scared for the Tank fight, Boxing News.
Joe Rogan didn't stay silent either. Revisiting the saga, he said Jake dug his own grave. Rogan argued Jake spun a story he couldn't uphold, got caught in his own lie, and now the narrative has completely reversed. He's no longer the bold disruptor of boxing he tried to portray. Instead, he's seen as a fighter who ran from the challenge, hiding behind a moral...
I mean, what more do you want to know? Boxing has always been an insane and crazy game.
What makes the situation even wilder is that it's no longer just about Jake Paul or Gervonta Davis. The lawsuit has ignited a debate boxing insiders have long avoided. Traditional fighters have been quietly grumbling in locker rooms, at press events, and on podcasts, frustrated that influencers are turning the sport into a flashy spectacle. Now, with a staggering $100 million lawsuit in play, it feels like boxing has finally reached a breaking point, forcing the entire community to confront tensions between entertainment and the sport's traditional roots.
Anybody that's an elite wrestler yet. Think about who has he fought that could really wrestle. Prohaska is like a...
Old school boxers argue that influencer fights are turning into scripted spectacles, entertainment-first events where drama takes precedence over actual punches. This lawsuit has thrown gasoline on that fire. Tank's filing reads less like a personal attack on Jake and more like a warning to the influence of boxing world. Treat the sport like YouTube drama instead of honoring contracts, and you'll face consequences. It's as if Tank drew a line in the sand. On one side stands authentic fighting, on the other, manufactured chaos. With this move, he's challenging everyone in the industry to decide